All right, everybody. Hello. I just wanted to do a quick opening to this episode with our word of the day, but it's more like words of the day today because I think this is important for you guys to know before we hop into this. Obviously, CFers are going to know this stuff, but for those of you who aren't experienced in CF, I want to let you guys know what this is and what it does for people. So our word of the day is CF vests. Now, CF vests are also called high-frequency chest wall oscillation vests. Basically, they help the people afflicted with CF clear their lungs of the thick, sticky mucus by way of like vibration. It's not necessarily vibration, but it is vibration. So the way it works is that the generator rapidly fills and empties the vest with air, so it causes it to inflate and deflate many times per second. Kind of almost like a diaphragm, but like a diaphragm on crack. So the vibrations in that vest will shake the chest and the lungs, and they help loosen the mucus that is stuck and trapped in the airways of people with CF. Before Trikafta, which you guys hear me mention and talk about quite often on this podcast because I believe it's been a just huge game changer for a lot of people with CF. Before Trikafta, the CF vests were the thing to help people get that mucus out of their lungs. And to this day, not everybody can get Trikafta. Not everybody's mutations work with Trikafta. So these vests are still critical in today's CF world. The treatments usually last about 20 to 30 minutes. Most people with CF will do it like 1 to 3 times a day, depending on the severity of the CF. Obviously, it's going to range quite a bit. It's very important that they do it in the morning or whenever you sleep, after you sleep. Us CFers, mucus settles in our lungs, and overnight, obviously, if we do sleep at all, which I know a lot of you guys aren't sleeping out there. If we do sleep, thick, sticky mucus settles in our lungs, and it gives us more of a chance to get infection. Very important to put the vest on, especially after sleeping. I just wanted to go over that because, that's kind of what our guests are all about today, providing the CF vests to those in need of CF vests. And I just wanted to let you guys know how critical those vests really are. For some people, the only saving grace they have, and especially in third world countries where it's nearly impossible to get Trikafta, this is all they have. I just want to reiterate how important what these guys are doing is. With that being said, let's get into this episode and breathe easy. Everybody, welcome back to the Breathe Easy podcast. Today I have 2 very special guests on, Rod and Josh. So Rod is the owner of a company that is helping out CF patients worldwide, a company called CF Vests Worldwide. Our other guest, Josh, here is in charge of a company called Shiloh's Children. Guys, introduce yourselves and give us a little breakdown. We'll start with Rod.
Okay, great. Thanks, Zach. Thanks for having us, first of all. My name is Rod. I'm a CF patient. I'm 52 years old. In August of 2017, I had a double lung and liver transplant. I'm the usual CF patient, hospitalizations all the time, 17% lung function, got a transplant. That was that. But we started CFS Worldwide because it was in January of 2020. I received a message from a girl in Chile who I didn't know who she was. She asked me if I had CF. I told her I did. She asked if I was from the US. I told her I was. She said, "Can you give me a vest?" And first of all, I thought, who are you? How'd you find me? And why would anybody give anybody a vest? This is so stupid. It costs $20,000. I don't even know you. Why would anybody do that? Sat on it for a day or two. I thought, what the heck? I don't need my vest anymore. I had the transplant. I'll just give it to her. I thought she was a fraud. I thought she was going to sell it. I thought, what the heck? I'm not using it. Go ahead. Have a blast. So I sent it to a friend of hers from Florida who sent it to her in Chile. And I thought that was that. A month or 2 later, I got a message from someone else who I didn't know out of the blue. He asked me if I was from the US. Told him I was. He asked if I had CF. Told him I did. And he asked, "Can you get me a vest?" And again, I thought, well, first of all, who are you? How'd you find me? And what a stupid idea. Why would anybody give anybody a vest? Yeah. I thought, well, I don't have my vest anymore. I gave it to the girl in Chile. So I put on Facebook. I asked, can anybody give Muhammad in Lebanon a vest? Thinking no one's going to do that because that just doesn't happen. Maybe a day or 2 later, a girl named Danny from Ohio got back to me and said, I can give Muhammad a vest. So I wound up transferring the vest from the girl in Ohio to Muhammad in Lebanon. And I thought, that's weird. There's no coincidences. So here we are 5.5 years later. We've donated 367 vests to CF patients in 61 countries.
Can you walk us through what made you realize that this was going to be as big as it is right now? What was the first sign to you that this was going to be something real that you could start a business out of?
I guess I was thinking that after I got those 2 people who wanted vests, who found me who knows how. I thought there must be such a need for vests to two people from Chile, Lebanon, have no idea. They can't know each other. So there must be other people who need vests. And I thought, there are so many people, maybe like myself, had the transplant, don't need their vest. Unfortunately, people pass away. They don't need their vests. People
Yeah.
upgrade from, say, Hurons to Monarchs or Aflo vests. I thought there must be so many vests out there, and there must be such a need around the world. Because, these vests, you have CF, these vests cost like
Yeah.
20,000 bucks,
Yeah.
and insurance pays for it here. Of course, in India, which is where we've donated most vests, nobody has 20,000 bucks because there's no
Yeah.
insurance. There's no way these people can get vests. And outside the US, doctors don't know about CF. How could they even know about CF and know about a vest if the doctors don't know about CF, let alone how can they
Yeah.
afford it? So I thought, let me just try. And after Mohammed, a mother of a CF patient from Romania, she asked for a vest. And then I put it on social media, I'm doing this. And then all these requests came in. So I just kept at it. This is what I do every day, all day. And this is something. We just fell into it.
It's interesting you say that because the last guest that I had on, Devanshi, I don't know if you guys were able to hear that episode or not. She came from India, and out there is really not much research at all done with CF. They don't know much about it. She said there's only about 2 or 3 hospitals out there that know much about it at all. She basically told me they diagnosed her with TB, with tuberculosis, because it's very common in India. And so it's interesting you say that because that just goes to show you that this isn't something highly researched in most places. And it is mostly like a white Euro, they say Ashkenazis have the biggest percentage of CF patients. So people with Ashkenazi Jewish have most of the CF cases. And that's the interesting part. And it makes you think about all the things we have out here, like Trikafta and the modulators and stuff. These people cannot get hold of this stuff. So those vests are lifesavers.
They're gold. We got requests from people who, like for instance, one lady in Romania, she met a mother in her CF clinic who got a vest. And she's like, what is a vest? How'd you get that? So yeah, word got
Cool
out that
style
way.
accessory.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, just word of mouth. They realized, oh, someone's giving a vest away. Let's spread the word. That's how we got our first requests.
Yeah, I always thought about like, I wonder if I could send Trikafta somewhere to somebody that, could take it. And then I'm like, it's probably super illegal. I probably shouldn't try to send drugs to other people. But, I always think about that. Like, it just sucks that over here we have all of this medical advance and we can't really share it with the world. Josh, you want to tell us how you're tied into all of this?
A lot of what you're talking about I can relate to because of where we live. So my name is Josh. I do have a nonprofit called Shiloh Children. It's kind of like an orphanage, but not really an orphanage. We take kids from hard places inside of Thailand and we make them part of our family. And we've had about 35 kids in the last 10 years that we've helped in some way. And our goal is to support them through childhood all the way through college, where we pay for even their college. We have a few who've graduated already. We have a few who are in college right now, and we have 8 kids in our family right now. I came to Thailand in 2013, met my wife, got married, and we got brought into a slum in Bangkok. We were like, man, we got to help these kids.
Yeah.
There's drugs, prostitution, abuse, like you just walk through and you see it, and there's kids everywhere. And we were like, man, we got to help these kids. What do we do? We started setting up like a boys and girls club in the middle of the slum, got a house down there. Then we just started going there every day, trying to help these kids learn. We had like an after school program. So after school, we would, I didn't know how to play the ukulele, but I started learning. And
There we go.
you just stayed one lesson ahead, bought some ukuleles, went down there, started teaching them ukulele. Then we started helping them with their homework, playing games with them, just trying to create like a refuge in the middle of the slum. It was crazy because like these kids would come and they would just like change, and then they would go home and the next day it was like starting all over again, So we were just getting really frustrated with it and we decided, we need to get these kids out of the slum. There's a boarding school about 12 hours away from Bangkok, and we decided that if we would pay for these kids to go, it was a good school. The first girl that we sent up there, we sent a boy and a girl at the same time, but the girl, we had no idea because Asian people are like an umbrella, kind of term. They just don't talk about their feelings or problems. We didn't know.
Like us Americans, so we talk about our feelings every 5 minutes if we get a chance.
Yeah, and we had no idea what was going on, and we didn't realize she was only 15 years old, but she had been on meth pretty much since 9 years old. Her mom was addicted to meth, had her at 13 years old. She was 9. She was addicted to meth. She was drinking and doing drugs every day. She was like that because her mom abandoned her into the main drug house in the slum that we work at, and she was being sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally abused by by everybody. We have videos about it and her, her talking about it and everything. But she basically said, everybody's abusing me. Why don't I just make some money off of it? And she became a prostitute. And, this is all before 15. And so she went to the school, and we didn't know it, but the day we took her up there, she took meth right before we picked her up. We picked her up 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, she's doing meth. But she decided it was going to be the last day that she ever did meth. So we picked her up, had no idea got on a plane, flew her up to Chiang Mai, took her to the school. If anybody's ever done drugs, like, you realize, especially if you do them at a young age, because I did as well, you just realize that you don't have the tools that are like necessary in life to deal with your problems. So this girl, she goes up there and she has no tools to deal with her life, and there's no one to help her, and she's not using drugs basically for the first time in her life. So she tried to commit suicide. We realized that we got to take care of her. If anybody knows the parable of the lost sheep in the Bible, it's, you leave the 99 to take care of the one.
Yeah.
We decided to leave everything that we had going on in Bangkok and move up to Chiang Mai and take care of her. Quickly, that one sheep multiplied to, like 35. And we were first-time parents. We had 6 kids in our house. It was a small, like 2-bedroom house, and we had 6 kids. Then we're like, you know what? It's a good time to have a baby. So my wife got pregnant. So like right now, in Thailand, there's a really bad smoke season where it has the worst air pretty much in the world. She was born in February, and everything was going great. At about the beginning of March, she started to cough. We started taking her to hospitals. 2-3-month-old baby shouldn't be coughing, and so we took her to the hospital. And the doctor's like, don't worry about it. It's just smoke season. Just smoke season. Just smoke season. Even if it is smoke season, it's not normal. There's got to be something you can do about it. She shouldn't be wasting all of her energy coughing. And we every week, it seemed like we were taking her to another hospital, and they said TB, they said right middle lung disease, they said the hormones, and all these different things. And we just couldn't get a diagnosis. It was actually pretty crazy because my father and I, we don't really talk. My dad was an alcoholic, and he just kind of disappeared from our family. And he ended up calling me when my daughter was a year old at Christmas, like right before COVID. And I was like, hey, Dad, does anybody in your family, do they have like COPD or right middle lung disease or, some of these weird breathing diseases? And he said, we had an uncle who had cystic fibrosis. Didn't even think about that one. Googled it. And, they say that the way that you tell if someone has cystic fibrosis, you lick them. Yeah, so I licked my daughter. Yeah, and I licked my daughter and was like, "Oh my goodness! Like, this is the saltiest." She's like the saltiest thing I've ever.
You're about to take a shot of tequila and then liquor. Yeah, you're like.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like crazy, man. Like I did, and I was like, well, maybe she's just sweaty, because like I don't have any CF or anything like that. So I was like, well, sometimes I get sweaty and I'm salty too. So then I licked myself, and I was like, I'm not that salty. And I said, honey, come over here. And I grabbed her by the face, and I licked her forehead, and I was like, you're not salty either. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, here, lick me, now lick her. And we're like,
we're all licking each other.
Yeah, that's not normal, And, we had a really good doctor up here who saved her life 2 or 3 times. And then she was telling us, you're wasting your money. You're wasting your money trying to get her tested. There's only one place in Thailand where you can get her tested. And so she told us we were wasting our money. And it just got to the point where it was like I had to check that box,
Yeah.
It turns out my dad ended up dying in April, like in the middle of the height of COVID and everything. And I ended up getting a hold of one of my aunts who I've never talked to in my life and asking her, like, who's this uncle who had cystic fibrosis? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, my dad said. And she's like, your dad must have been drunk because we don't have an uncle who had cystic fibrosis. And it was just really crazy how it happened. And then we ended up driving her down. I think it was like $300 to get her tested. That's the Thai salary for 1 month is $300. And so people are like, don't waste that much money doing this. And we got her tested. This doctor had never met me before. He knew nothing about me. And I just slammed my fist on the table and was like, I was right. I knew it.
Let me lick you.
Yeah.
We're licking each other.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't take too kindly to that when I licked him. But then so we found out that she had cystic fibrosis, and there's only one doctor here who really knows cystic fibrosis. She studied at sick kids in Canada at the University of Toronto. So she was able to help us before she was a month or before she was 2 years old, she had gotten tune-ups or whatever you want to call them, IV antibiotic, about 9 times because we didn't know what was wrong. When we finally were able to get her tested, she only went to the hospital about one more time after that. We brought her back to the state. So in the middle of this, actually, this is where I met Rod and how I got involved with CF Vests Worldwide, because Rod was giving away vests. I didn't know what a vest was before CF. I started posting about it on the Facebook group. Started posting about it. Somebody tagged Rod and was like, "Hey, you need to talk to Rod," because when we met the doctor here who knew about cystic fibrosis, our daughter was 2 years old, and she said, "You need to prepare her for a lung transplant." And
Wow.
my daughter's 2 years old, and I'm like,
That's
"No,
crazy.
I'm not going to do that."
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, what do you do with a lung transplant? So I got a hold of Rod, and Rod's a unicorn in this sense too, because I think it's been 8 years since Rod's had his double lung liver, and Rod told me like the average life expectancy is only 5 years
Yeah.
after, and
Before
it's
getting another one, if you can.
I'm talking to Rod, and I'm just like, no, like I am not preparing my daughter for this. There's so many miracles along the way, because we thought it was the care in Thailand was the reason that she was doing so poorly. But then we took her to the States, and so before this, so I actually happened to be the celebrant at a funeral right before I came to Thailand. And the girl that I did the funeral for, she was 21 years old and she died, and she had cystic fibrosis. I had no idea what cystic fibrosis was at the time. And so I did her funeral. And, this is, 10 years before I have a child. Cystic fibrosis means nothing to me. It's like some
Yeah.
crazy rare disease that I'll never hear again. And then come to find out my daughter has cystic fibrosis. I get a hold
Yeah.
of that mom, and she tells me to come to Spokane. Spokane, Washington is where I'm from. She's like, "You should really try the clinic here." The doctor there, Dr. Alma Chavez in Spokane, she's just been amazing. She saved my daughter's life. So we're super happy, and we deal with everything that you're talking about that they deal with in India, because in Thailand, I think now there's 30 people who have cystic fibrosis, but it's everywhere. We think it's, these rare genes and stuff like that, but if you don't test, then nobody has it.
They primarily consider that majority of people with CF have some type of like Ashkenazi or white Euro background. Your wife is Thai, right? Correct? Your
Yeah.
wife is Thai. So your daughter
Yeah.
has to have like a rare mutation on top of already having CF.
She does, but the crazy thing is that the Ashkenazi mutation comes from my wife. I have the regular white person 508, and she has the crazy one. There's only 20 people with her same mutations in the world.
That's crazy.
I actually was able to meet one of the girls. I think she's in Colorado or something like that, I think is her name. But she
Yeah.
has the same. She has the same mutations as my daughter, and she's, she probably won't be happy I say this, but like your average white girl, and in Colorado, and she's been awesome talking to her, and especially in the beginning when I had no idea what anything meant, and thought that her mutations being the same as my daughter would mean that they would have things really similar, but it's not like that, and she has the exact opposite, where it's like she doesn't even have CF.
I know you guys have supplied vests to like in Tunisia. That's rare out there in Tunisia. Can you believe it? Like it got all the way out there. That's just so crazy to me because it's super rare, It's super rare. And then the rarer these things get, the more hard they can be to treat. My mutation's very rare too. I have the 508 del, but I also have a R1066H, and they're like, that one's extremely rare. And it's made things difficult because it affects me in a very strange way.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with ourselves. Our daughter, she gets Trikafta, and kind of what you were saying, we want to help some other people, and so sometimes our daughter will take only a half dose or something like that, and we'll work with the doctors here to give it to a patient over here, Thailand, but their mutations are so rare, they're not listed on the Trikafta database, and then I have to do my own research and figure out if they're, what class their mutation is and what exactly is happening. And if Trikafta will help, we've given it to a few girls over here, even though there's a 50-50 shot, it usually doesn't work for them because they don't have 508 and all of their mutations are very rare.
So does your daughter just primarily have the lung issues, or does she have like pancreatic
She's got
insufficiency?
it all, man. She's got it
Oh
all.
man.
We,
Oh man.
when 6 months after she was born, she weighed less than when she was born, and the doctors were still telling us it's fine, you know. And there's a lot of barriers that I don't think people realize that people in developing countries or in third world countries have to deal with. And this idea that it is a white person disease is it's kind of overwhelming because
Yeah.
if you're, you know,
It limits people for sure.
yeah, and doctors don't learn about it, you know? Like
Yeah.
even the really good doctor that we had who saved my daughter's life, she's like, I haven't seen anybody with CF since my clinicals, you know, in college, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like they don't deal with it, nobody has it, and it's impossible to get diagnosed. We're working over here to try and really let people know that it exists. We're working to get all of the equipment that's needed along with vests. All the nebulizers are hard to get. Just the acapellas are hard to get. Just the other day, we had the top doctor in Thailand call us and say, hey, can I borrow some of your drugs? He was trying to get us to give him Pulmozyme. They actually just started a lung transplant program over here. So they didn't know that they needed Pulmozyme for that. And he called us and he said like, hey, I know your daughter needs it, but if you have any extra, we just had a little boy who had a lung transplant, and we want to see if this will help him. And if this can help him, then we can probably get it approved like nationwide and like start importing it and everything. And so it's like a really weird position because what do you do, you know?
Yeah.
And when you
What's
have the
crazy to
people,
me is that speaks volumes about you because, you know, you're really stuck in a rock and a hard place. You could easily go back to America and get better treatment, but at the same time, you have this really important thing going on, and it's such a big deal in and of itself. You know, you're making the best with what you have right now. It's crazy.
before that was very true. Now it's easy. You know, now she's on Trikafta, everything's cake.
Yeah.
It's easy. You know, we don't have to deal with any of that. You know, my daughter is doing great. She's doing like you can't even tell that she has cystic fibrosis.
That's awesome.
Now the hard part is the guilt that comes with that. I mean, I talking to these people. I mean, with all the people that you've done the podcast with and everything, it's like, well, I get this great treatment, you know, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm struggling to live. Doctors don't know anything about me. I can't get Trikafta. Like, I can't even get Pulmozyme, you know, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
you just not talk about it at all. You're like, I'm not going to talk about it. We're keeping this hush hush in the house here from now on.
Yeah, and it's tough, man, because with Rod and I doing what we're doing, as much as we want to, we can't give everybody a vest. There's not unlimited funds. Things cost money and all this stuff, and we can't give everybody a vest. The other thing about cystic fibrosis is it doesn't discriminate. It affects every social economic class, and
Mostly poor
that's right.
people and middle class people, actually.
Nobody can afford cystic fibrosis, really. Then we get the email, you didn't help me and now my daughter's dead. You didn't help me and now my son's dead. And it's like, dude, we want to help everybody. We want to send a vest to everybody. We want to do everything that we can, but like we're limited by our budget and we're limited.
You guys didn't give their
Yeah.
kids CF. It sucks.
Yeah,
And you know what? You're trying to make a difference, but you can only do so much.
that's for sure. But your parents will probably understand better than you, I think, because
Yeah, of course.
you want to give what's needed to your child, and you're trying and you're reaching out and you're doing everything that you can do. But just like we're limited by our budget, they're limited by their budget, and they would
Yeah,
love
yeah,
to be able to have the money to send a vest over and to do all that stuff, but they can't afford it either. And so it's like, the poorer you are, the harder it is to get help, even when
yeah,
there's people who are around just to help the poor people. It's
yeah.
like even that costs a little bit of money.
We have to remember our humanity too, and remember, it's the same thing with doctors. Like some people blame the doctors for why their kid died or for why, and sometimes it is like malpractice that can lead to these things, but sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's something, we have to remember even through the grief and being angry and being upset that we're just human. We can only do so much, and it sucks. Things like that suck, right? I mean, cancer
Yeah.
sucks. These things suck. I mean, you really can't do anything about it though. You can only do your best. God bless you guys for doing what you're doing anyway, because you guys didn't even exist at one point. And now you came out of nowhere and you're trying to help. I mean, to people saying that to you guys, that's ridiculous. That's not your fault at all.
But
We're all
it's
jacked up.
understandable.
Yeah,
It's
I understand it.
understandable.
I understand it, but you guys are doing something so admirable that it deserves, in my opinion, nothing but praise. I cannot get on that boat. And I have CF, and I don't think my parents would think like that either. I think my parents would be like, God bless these people for doing what they're doing anyway. You're
I think
giving
that's
life to people.
an educated perspective.
Well, everybody needs to educate themselves. Come on, man. Life's hard enough. Life's hard
But
enough.
like you said, in these places where there is no education, all these things fall onto us, and
Yeah.
it falls on to whoever, because there is no information. And even in Thailand, I felt like my wife didn't care enough. My wife's Thai, and English is her second language. I wanted to get her as much information as I could about it. Dude, I went and looked on, used my broken Thai. I find a YouTube video about it, and there was one YouTube video about it where there was a little boy who was 12 years old who had it in Thailand, and I was like, oh great, I found it. Now I'm gonna show my wife this, and she's gonna understand, and I had no idea what they were talking about in it because I could barely understand it at the time. I show it to her and I was like, watch this, honey, and then she just starts breaking down crying, and I was like, dude,
Man.
what are you crying about? And she was like, what they were trying to do in that video, it was the official news station in Thailand. They were trying to raise money to send him to America because there was no help in Thailand. I sent it to her, and my wife's like, there's no help for her. There's no hope. She's going to die. And I was like, oh, that was like the opposite of what I was trying to do, And there's no information. There's no studies. There's nothing, And like you said, there's no education. And even if you try to educate yourself, if you don't speak English and speak it well enough to, go download a study and look at it and understand it, then like it's tough, man. Maybe ChatGPT can start helping with all that stuff. We deal with patients who know nothing about their own disease. The girl who works with us, Khadija, in Pakistan, she wasn't even on Creon until she was 20 years old. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Like, even the
that's
doctors.
like Devanshi. Same thing with Devanshi. Like,
how do you live?
Meds. Yeah,
how do
exactly.
you live?
Yeah, you're already in bad conditions, in slums or whatever. You're already living in like not optimal conditions for sick people. But then on top of it, you don't even have meds or any supplementary anything to help you with this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. And even the doctors don't know anything, and it's like, if the doctors don't have the education, how do you expect the regular people to get it? And dude, it's a vicious cycle, man. And Lord willing, we're going to be able to help bring information to these people. And, there's just been a lot of miracles that God has worked through us for these people. That has been really awesome. We're a drop in the ocean, that's what it comes down to is we can, like you said, we can only do so much.
I mean, and these meds are so expensive out here, and it's crazy because you feel like the United States has all the resources and it has everything that, these countries don't have. These meds, for some people here in the state, it costs them $10,000 for Trikafta. It's insane. And it's like, if our own people here in the States can't afford this stuff, the dream of these things going everywhere, going worldwide is insanely low. And it just sucks, man, because everybody deserves a chance at life.
I feel like I should just say this just because, and I hope that Vertex isn't giving you any money or anything, so that way it'll actually be heard.
No,
because...
I don't get money from anybody.
Okay, good.
I don't get money from anybody.
Because there is a generic that's available. It's called Trixacar from Gator Pharmaceuticals in Argentina, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it works really well. And it only costs like $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month. They keep raising the price, but it's still only a fraction of the cost of Trikafta, which is $30,000 a month. That is available for people who can afford it, but not many people can afford it.
So they're supposedly coming out with Vertex is supposedly coming out with a new modulator. They're working on it. It's actually going to be like a 1 pill a day Trikafta.
It's out, bro.
You have to take 1 pill as opposed to 3. It is?
Yeah,
it's out now?
I think is what it's called.
What?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
You didn't get a message from your doctor about it yet?
I got a message, but they haven't, my social worker hasn't, reached out to me or anything. I'm always the last one to know, okay? It seems like I'm always the last one to know.
You know how it works. They're not going to make it less expensive. They'll make it more expensive because of the convenience for it.
Of course. Yeah. And so when did it come out?
I think 2 months ago, maybe 3.
Man, I'm on the freaking back burner here, man. My social worker should have talked to me about this already.
Yeah, from everything that we've heard,
I'm taking 3 pills.
Everything we've heard too, because the main complaint with Trikafta is the mental side effects, and
I'll tell you, my biggest one, Dude, the insomnia was killer with Trikafta for me.
Really?
It was, and I'll give a tip to all CFers out there, okay? I'll give you guys a tip. If you are struggling with the Trikafta insomnia, you need to reverse the pills. Take the blue to 2 peach at night and the blue in the morning. Because I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep for like 3 days. It was like the craziest drug trip. Like I was strung out or something, man. I could not sleep for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, what is going on? And I finally like looked into it. I went on the Reddit. I was looking through the communities. They said, reverse the pills. I reversed the
Yeah.
pills and I sleep like a baby now.
See, we were noticing, because a lot of things the parents talk about with young kids is the attitude and the bad behavior and everything like that. And we just got rid of the blue pill and
Yeah.
everything smoothed out for us. I'm also a big advocate of getting them
Wow.
off the CF vitamins as well, because the vitamin E overdose. It's the same thing that happens with, they say, with Trikafta, I guess, with the bad attitude. It's one of the symptoms of a vitamin E overdose. So we did that as well, put her on regular multivitamin and got rid of the blue pill, and she smoothed out, and she's an amazing little girl now.
Awesome. So I want to get to Rod. So Rod, with the CFS worldwide, are you doing nonprofit? Are you guys accepting donations? Like, what's going on with that as far as your funding?
No, thanks. Yeah, we're 501(c)(3, of course, nonprofit. Our funding, it's tough. We're like hand to mouth every month. When we
Yeah.
first started, we didn't know what we were doing. We weren't really accepting money from people to give them the vest, so we were just giving them the vest for free. And, you can't do that because you're sending vests to Lebanon, Pakistan, whatever.
Yeah.
So we got a kind of a gift donation from somebody. It was about $2,000, and that saved us. So we went for a few months with that, and then we ran out of money again. And just so happened, we gave a vest to a girl in June of a few years ago. She had CF, and of course, she was very happy about it. Her family was happy about it. Then in December of that same year, I got a message from that girl's mother saying, "You have to call me now." I called her. She said, "Our daughter, who you give the vest to, just died. We want to help you out. You've helped our daughter out. We want to help you out." So they wound up raising $45,000 for us. And that's a lot of money. We were good for probably about a year or two. We started having, getting close to having no money again. And at that point, a buddy of mine's father passed away. My buddy gave me $25,000 from his father's fund, and that kept us going. Now we're kind of at the end of that $25,000. So kind of a long answer. Our funding comes from donations, but we hardly get donations. We're in the seat of our pants. Right now, we donate off of credit cards because, someone wants to invest. If we have it, we want to give it to as much as we can, and we don't have the funds for it. We're just in debt. But ideally, we have a website on our page, cfvww.org, and people donate that way. If they donate at all, CF is expensive. We don't have money to give normally, so it's really tough for us to get funding. If people do, it's a tax write-off for 501(c)(3. Kind of a long answer to your quick question.
No worries, man. I think that people need to know. So per vest, how much would you say it costs you to ship a vest to somebody?
We don't do this because we can't afford to, but to ship a vest, to say somebody actually from Colombia asked us just the other day, it costs about $800, $900 to send the vest there. To India, it costs about $1,000, $1,100.
Yeah, since COVID and everything hit, all the prices of shipping has gone up through the roof. India used to be about $1,000, and now it's like $1,500.
Holy shit.
One thing I want to add, Rod, is that we have to deal with customs as well. When we send a vest over there, we hope that customs doesn't steal it, like Swaziland or South Africa or any of those places. We've had them stolen from there, just can't get them and stuff like that. So that's why what Rod's about to say is we've switched the model that we're using and having people take the vests over there instead of sending them directly to the person in their country, because there's just too many variables in that we can't control.
So you have a person that is you have different people obviously taking these vests over to people, flying them out to different places, right? Is that what's going on?
That's what we ask of them. When someone asks for a vest, first thing we ask them is, do you have someone in the US who can bring the vest to you, or who can send it themselves? So that's the only way we can do it. It costs maybe about $400 to send the vest to someone in the US. And that's another reason why we can't. I mean, we get maybe literally 5 to 10 requests a week to go to Khadija asking, can we get a vest? So we can't do all that. But the only ones we can help right now are those who have someone in the US who can take the vest to them, because then we can affordably send the vest to someone in Connecticut or California.
Yeah, of
but we
course.
can't send it to Pakistan.
Yeah.
And the other
It's
thing
a
that
good
we
workaround.
do when we have enough people in one country and we have the money to do it, we'll have one of our representatives work with a doctor inside of that country who's connected to multiple patients. Then we'll send somebody over to that country with a bunch of vests who can bring 8 or 10 vests to 8 or 10 different people at a time. A lot of times it ends up being cheaper just to send somebody over there to do it and bring that many vests than it is to try to work out. And the other thing is that it is a free carry-on when you leave from the U.S. If you have a vest with you, it's a free carry-on on every airline. So if anybody is going to another country, I mean, they want to help somebody with CF and don't have CF themselves, if they get a hold of us and say, hey, I'm going to India or I'm going to Algeria or wherever, we can send them a vest to bring to somebody over there as well.
Awesome. It's not a bad idea at all. It actually helps bypass some of that really expensive stuff, the shipping stuff.
If you send it and you get caught in customs, then you have to pay a third of the price, and a third of $20,000 is a pretty hefty price tag that nobody can afford.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I just want to let the audience know that, I mean, you heard him. They have the links and stuff on their website. Go and donate. Donate. If you have a vest, I know I have a lot of CFers that are following along with the podcast. I have a lot of CFers that have had their lung transplants and stuff that no longer need their vests. So please just check this out. This is a huge, huge cause. And I mean, we just went over that a lot of these places are not able to get the proper care, and the least we can get them is a vest to help them survive a little longer, try to keep them alive a little longer on this earth with their families. We want to make sure that these patients are getting some type of help.
One of the goals that Rod and I have is we're trying to go a whole year without getting an email that says our daughter died because you didn't help us.
Yeah.
We're trying to avoid those because there is guilt that comes with that, even though it's not our fault. It still sucked, and we're trying to cut that out for a year. So if you guys can help us, donate at cfvww.org, and hopefully we can keep some kids alive.
Yeah, of course.
And two, it might be helpful to know, as a community, we don't have a lot of money because we're paying for all the meds. CFS Worldwide, we pay for the shipments. If someone from Nebraska says I have a vest for you, we take it, we pay for the shipments. So, I mean, we'll take the vest. Of course, we want that. But if you could also maybe donate $50 or so when you send the vest to us, because we're paying for that. We take in so many vests and we give out so little. We don't have enough money coming in to get them out. So if you wouldn't mind $20, I don't know, $10, if you donate a vest to us, that would be awesome.
Of course. And have you guys actually reached out to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation at all? Have you guys been able to reach out to them and see if they would feature you on blogs and stuff? Because they'll do that for you, and that can help get the word out there a little bit more too.
We've been very, very fortunate. CFF, if someone contacts them and says they've got a vest to donate, they'll send those vests to us. So we've got a good relationship with them from there, but we don't have a relationship that will get us onto podcasts or anything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is, and we also have a great relationship with Hillrom as well. They kind of support each other. I don't think they really want to promote us giving these vests away to people who need them and stuff like that because it affects their bottom line.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows what we're doing. We're pretty outspoken about it. Nobody really wants to really just be a champion for us with these companies, it feels like. So
I will do that for you guys in any way I can. I will champion for you guys because this is a big deal. This is a big deal, man. I mean, being somebody who's affected, I mean, all three of us here sitting here, if that's enough for you guys, all three of us here have been affected in some way by CF. We all know very good and well that this disease is a very serious thing, and it's not fair that these other countries cannot get that help, and they're trying to help. So, any way you guys can help, just help this foundation out. They're incredible for doing what they're doing.
I think I mentioned earlier, we get 5 to 10 requests a week from people all over the world. They want vests, and we have the vest machines. We don't have the funding to get it to them. So we just need funds to help. We've 367 vests, and we could have helped hundreds more by now if we had the funding. And these kids are, as we know in our community, they're going to die if we don't get that vest to them, because a vest is sometimes the only treatment they have.
Sad but true. It is really sad because, I mean, these people, they want to have a little bit more time with their kids, and this could be that thing that could help them have a little bit more time with their kids. So let's just bless some people here, guys. Let's bless some people. Rod, I also wanted to talk about you're a CFer yourself. When were you diagnosed? Were you an early diagnosis, a late diagnosis? Things were different back in the day. Now they test for all of this stuff and at birth. And when did you figure out you had CF? And how did walk us through that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was 3 months old when I guess my parents noticed, the failure to thrive, of course. And I was
Yeah.
born in 1972. So back then, of course, nobody knew. So I
Yeah.
was 3 months old when they did test on me and they found I had CF. Of course, in 72, no one knew how to treat CF. So I remember being in the hospital every Christmas. I was a little kid. I remember kind of the hospital beds was like a crib. It was Christmas and I was there every Christmas and I was getting worse and worse. And I'm from Hawaii. Hawaii, white person disease, CF is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of Asians, so Hawaii is very even now, but especially back then, very few CF patients. So doctors there didn't know about CF, and I got to the point where I was getting so sick they couldn't do anything more in Hawaii. And my father, he wrote the CF Foundation and said, "I need the best doctor in the country for CF because my kid's dying." So
Yeah.
they wound up CF Foundation gave my parents two doctors, both in Texas, one in Dallas, one in Houston. So these two doctors can help you. So I remember being on the flight. It was an overnight flight. Brandon, if I remember, was the airline. And I was sick. I was coughing. I had fever. And then my mom was trying to get orange juice the whole time. So when I got to Dallas, I was very sick. The doctor sat my parents down. He saw him. Looked at me and everything, sat them down and said, "Your kid is not going to live past 10 years old." And I guess my mom just went ballistic as mothers would. And he said, "But I can tell you something that can help, that keep him alive. Make him exercise. Throw him in the pool, make him run, make him exercise."
Yeah.
Back then, that was a new thing. Nobody
No
knew about
worries.
exercise and the benefits. My mom was like, "Well, the doctor's telling me he won't live past 10. I'm gonna do it." So my parents made me run from the age of 4 until I was diagnosed with MS in high school. I ran 5 miles a day every day. In the morning, my mom got me up 4 and 5 in the morning. We lived on a hill kind of thing. She dropped me off at the bottom of the hill. It was dark. She would drive next to me as I ran up the sidewalk. I came home from school. There's a track next to a high school track. She had me go there. Didn't want to run. She said, "You don't watch Sesame Street if you don't run." So I ran in the mornings before school, ran after school, and I kept it up until I was diagnosed with MS at 17. I was not in the hospital until I stopped running after the MS diagnosis, and I started, I started becoming a regular CF. To the point where I got worse and worse. I got to, I guess it was in 2017, I got to 17% lung function because I wasn't exercising. The transplant idea came around. I fought it. I said, I don't need it. I'm going to live forever. 17% oxygen, coughing up blood. I'm going to live forever. What are you talking about? I don't need a transplant. That's stupid. It came, I was still working, oxygen and everything, coughing up blood, going to the hospital like every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So a doctor said, if you're going to get too sick at some point to fly, and when you do, you're done. It's over. In fact, he told me that year, you're not going to live past the end of this year unless you get a transplant. I thought that's so stupid. I'm going to live forever. What are you talking about? So that night, he said, if you don't leave for Dallas by this weekend, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. It's over. I kind of argue with him a little bit. Argue with him, saying, I don't need this. What are you talking about? And I had to take my cannulus, I guess, that a nose thing for the oxygen. What do you call that? I
Yeah.
took that out. I could talk to him. At one point, he said, "Your lips are turning purple. Put it back on."
Yeah.
Went to Dallas. The whole time, I figured, first of all, I don't need this. I would tell my friends I'm going to live longer than Moses. I believed I was never going to die, even though coughing about all this.
How
I
old
got
was
to Dallas.
Moses again? He's
He's
pretty
old.
old, man. Yeah, he's pretty old.
972.
Jesus.
I was going to live past that. I was going way past that.
Yeah.
So I got to Dallas thinking,
Jesus
this
only
is so
lived at
dumb.
33.
Right.
Oh, you're
Right.
there you go.
So I got to Dallas thinking, I was thinking, I don't know why I'm here. I don't need the transplant. And I've been reading, you have, like the dry runs, you go there and they say, no, sorry, lungs don't work. There's something wrong with them. So I thought, even if they give me a call, it's not going to happen because something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor once and he said, well, we had someone for you. I need both lungs and liver. Yeah, but the guy's liver wasn't good. So we had to pass. I'm thinking, oh, it's fine. I don't need a lung transplant anyway. I don't care. So
Yeah.
I got the call and said, we have someone for you. I thought, well, here it is. I'm just going to go through this because I don't need it, but I'm just going to go. So even when was on the operating table, about to put me under, I was thinking, this is so stupid. First of all, I don't need this. And,
Yeah.
they're going to wake me up. They say, oh, something happened. Their lungs were defective or they're too small or big. And they're going to send me home. And to me, that was fine because I didn't need it anyway. This is so dumb. So when the surgery, woke up, tubes sticking out of me, I think, oh, well, I guess it worked. Okay, well, I guess I had a transplant. Let's see what happens from here. So
That's crazy, man. I mean, and then especially in that time, I mean, you had to be a pretty severe case to be found out that you had CF because, they didn't do testing or anything. I actually just missed the window. I was just shy. I was born in 1997 and they started doing all the genetic testing in 98. So I literally just missed it. I was a really late diagnosis. I wasn't diagnosed until I turned 20. So,
Wow.
and I'm now 27. So I've had it, I've known about it for 7 years, but I mean, I always just thought being out of breath was normal.
Sure.
Hey, you guys are, everybody's like this, you know what I mean? Everybody has a stomach pain every day, and
Right.
here I am now figuring out that I was a weirdo this whole time, a cool
Right.
weirdo, but so, and what's interesting about that is, they do say that, out by the beach is the best place for CFers. Isn't that weird? Because of the salty air. They did the same thing back in the day with people that had TB. They'd send them out to like the beach in the old west and stuff. They would send people out to the beach to dry out their lungs and make so
Mm.
that's so I mean, do you feel obviously you have to feel like such a sense of fulfillment doing what you're doing. And obviously, like you said, there's guilt involved with some of these people telling you that my kid died because of you, which again, I will reiterate, I highly disagree with that. You must feel a lot of fulfillment in doing what you're doing. And you have any like examples of people coming out to you and saying good things to you?
First of all, I don't really feel fulfillment because I mean, I know I'm very blessed that I've been 8 years, first of all, since the transplant. I know I'm blessed. I guess not fulfillment because I'm just trying to, Josh and I, we're just trying to give back. So I don't feel fulfillment, but one person who I'll always remember was the father of the second CF patient who we helped with the vest, Muhammad in
Yeah.
Lebanon. He unfortunately he passed. I mean, he gave it a good fight. He passed. And I was very sad about it. So I was messaging the father on Facebook and said, sorry that, it's Muhammad, this and that. And the father said, no, you don't understand. He said, don't be sorry. You gave us something that we would have never had before. He said, you've done so much for us. And I kind of worried that he would be, I guess, hurt that I was still helping people and posting about it. He said, no, don't. He said, don't feel bad. I'm so happy we're part of it. And I told him, your son was the second person we invest to. He said that makes us the family feel so good. He said that's we helped you in this and you helped Mohammed more than you could ever know. So I mean, I guess that's one thing I'll always remember. So I mean, that's the first CA patient we gave the vest to, Valley in Chile. She's still going strong. So I mean, I don't need
Yeah.
words for that. I mean, just seeing her on Facebook, she's without her, we'd have never started this, and who knows where she'd be without the vest. So
Yeah.
maybe fulfillment, not in a selfish way, just fulfillment that we were in the right place at the right time to help her.
I think to be honest, Rod, I think we would feel a lot of fulfillment is if we didn't have any in storage. If we didn't have any to give, we were able to get
Yeah.
rid of all the vests that we have in storage and get them to somebody who needs them. That'd be pretty fulfilling for both of us, I think. And yeah, Rod doesn't feel fulfillment, but I do. I feel great. And we got plenty of stories of people that are super grateful for vests and for giving them a longer life than they would have had.
So let's go back to that. How many do you guys, on estimate, have in storage right now that could be in somebody's hands, but is in a storage?
Well, between vests, portable air compressors, nebulizers, all that stuff, we probably have like about 30 or 40 vests
Ah, okay.
easily in storage. Yeah, 20 to 30 portable air compressors or yeah, POCs, and then just an abundance of nebulizers as well. When we send somebody a vest, we like to send them a nebulizer, a neb kit, and some of Dylan Mortimer's artwork, some, just like a little gift bag with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we've got plenty. We've got plenty right now. And the only thing that we're lacking right now is the funds to get them out. Like Rod said, we have plenty of requests, we have plenty of vests, we have plenty of everything. But the one thing that we don't have is the money to get them out. And so it falls into the lap of the parents of the patient or the patient themselves to be able to raise the money to get the vest that's needed.
Yeah. Again, to all the listeners, these vests are ready to go. So we really need to help support this company because these things are ready to go and they're just waiting to get into a CFR's arms and save their life. So, I mean, they're right there. We just need a
Yeah,
little help.
Josh's sister-in-law, she does most storage. I mean, she told me, I've got a lot of vests stored up. I thought, okay, yeah, you got a lot of vests. That's fine. She said, let me take a picture. It was a room full of vests on like,
Wow.
I don't know, like stacked cabinets and just boxes, trays, just a
Yeah,
room full of
she's got a
vests.
lot, and then sitting outside of her house in FedEx boxes, she has a lot too. So she's ready to get them gone, and we just need help. We need help to do it. We're applying for grants. We're applying for CF Impact grant. That we're applying. We're doing all this stuff, but it just seems that our mission doesn't align with anybody else's mission.
Of course, I could tell. I mean, you guys are doing, and you're managing so much, Josh, with your, the Shiloh's children and this is a lot of stuff for you, man. I can't believe you do it. And having a child with CF, it's insane, man.
I
Josh is
got a lot of
amazing.
energy. I'm still young.
Yeah,
I'm only 40. I
yeah.
got plenty of
What
energy
kind
to
of
do
coffee
it.
do
And
they have out there? What kind of coffee do they have out there in Thailand, man?
It's laced with.
Josh is amazing.
Oh, see, that's how you get going right there, man. You're not supposed to say that. You're going to expose the industry, man. The Dunkin' Donuts out there is a little different than the one we have out here.
Josh is amazing. I mean, he's got two missions. He's got his daughter with CF, so he's got the CF mission, and he's got the mission of fostering. How many kids you have in your house now, Josh? 10,
We have
12?
8 right now.
So
Wow. Wow.
Josh is an inspiration. Forget me. Honestly, Josh, he's got like a ton and a half on his plate.
Yeah. Let me just, and then, this might sound like a joke, but it's not. How are you feeding these kids? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you feeding them? How do you stretch the food?
Well, the great thing is that Thailand is such a cheap country. It's a little bit easier, and everything grows abundantly. You throw a seed on the ground and a tree pops up. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever read the Narnia series, but like when Aslan's creating everything, and then the little chocolate bar falls on the ground and then a seed pops up. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier, but like we also operate off donation as well. ShadowChildren.org. You can go and donate. But yeah, so we operate off donations, completely off donations, and we actually homeschool all of our kids as well in my second language. I teach English and math, and my wife covers everything else. And we're the only foundation in Thailand that does that. That's where most of my energy goes, is to homeschooling our kids, and it's tough, not easy. And our kids come from hard places. They all have learning disabilities, low IQs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we're able to do it, and my wife and I were still relatively young, and we have the energy to do it. And we have a ton of kids that love us and call us mom and dad. And we have a ton of kids, and only one of them has a rare disease. So, praise God.
I want to, you did speak earlier about how you had, one of the children had a meth addiction and stuff like that. That's like, what people don't understand about that is, and I guess the way to break it down for people is to, like, a high on meth or a high on like heroin, like either one of those two drugs, they say it's about 10 times more dopamine release than like sex. Okay. So if you can imagine, that's an incredible amount of dopamine. So when you take these people that have these drug addictions off of these things, the depression is insane, because it's like, you're never going to reach this level of dopamine again. At least in that moment, that's what you're thinking, until your brain regulates itself. But it's such a hard battle to fight until you get to that point, because, I mean, that's a lot of dopamine loss, man.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. It's really hard for them. And we've had multiple kids who've done drugs at really young ages, and we deal with a lot of stuff that a lot of people are sheltered from. I tried to move into the slum with my wife because I wanted to be more of an impact. And luckily, my wife is a little bit more sane than I am, and she's like, "No, we're not moving into the slum." And in hindsight, it was probably a bad idea. But what it comes down to is that we live a life of service. Our life isn't for us just to enjoy and have fun. I mean, we could easily do that, but we feel like we have an obligation to help people around us. And even with CF, her disease that was intended to be a curse has turned into a blessing for so many people that we're able to bless. And even our kids are getting an education in cystic fibrosis. And that girl that I was talking about who tried to commit suicide, who was addicted to meth, she was actually able to, because of her little sister having cystic fibrosis, she wanted to go into a profession where she could help her. So she went and got her certified nurse assistance, certification. It was like a 2-year program that she went, and she graduated and got that. And now she's back in college trying to Right now, I think she's going for mass communication or something like that. But then we also have another boy who's in school to be a nurse right now because of that. And
Wow.
so, it's been a blessing to a lot of people, and we want to live a life where we can be a blessing, just be a blessing, period. And
You guys
we
definitely are.
think,
You guys definitely are.
yeah, what it's been like for us is the more we bless, the more we're blessed, and
Of
so
course.
we just keep blessing, we keep getting and keep giving, and that's pretty much how we live our life.
It's the rule of tithing, give, you get, that's how it is. So did you meet your wife in Thailand?
No,
So
not over here.
what led you to Thailand in the first place?
I wanted to come over here and teach English for a year, and then I took the flight and was like, well, that was the worst flight I've ever taken in my life. I'm not going to do that again. And so I was like, better make some roots, and met my wife. I fell in love. We got married. That was about 12, 13 years ago. And now we've had a billion kids, and, now we're tied down over here. We've been coming back and we've been doing Thai cooking classes. And so that's how we do a little bit of fundraising for ourselves is Thai cooking classes when we come back to get our daughter's Evangeline. When she comes back to get her treatments and see the doctor and everything, we do Thai cooking classes. Usually we're located in the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Washington, and we'll just travel around doing cooking classes around there and raise money. And so that's what we're doing.
So you're from Texas originally, right? Don't you miss the barbecue, man?
So I went vegetarian.
Oh, wow, I did too. I know. Honestly, me too.
Yeah, trying to get the low inflammation diet and all that stuff for my daughter. You kind of make a decision: are you going to do what's best for her, or are you going to, keep doing what you're doing? And it was tough for sure. Vegetarian for like, I don't know, way too long now. Every now and
Yeah.
then I'll sneak a chicken pizza or something in there, but
Chicken's a plant, man. No, chickens are plants, man. You can convince yourself all you want, but I have a weird conspiracy now because every CFer I have interviewed so far has been a vegetarian, including myself.
dude, it makes sense, man. When you look at inflammation and you look what causes these infections, man, it only makes sense to do it.
Yeah, low FODMAP and all that stuff for the pancreas and everything. It's easier. Everything is easier.
Yeah, it's harder to eat, especially over here. It's kind of easier, but at the same time, it's a little bit harder. But I mean, it just makes sense, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give this question to both of you guys because I want to know what belief systems or values carry you through all of this stuff because you go through a lot, man. I'll talk to Josh first.
Okay, so yeah, so we're Christians, and we trying to find God's plan and God's will in all of this. Sometimes
Yeah.
gets a little cloudy and gets a little foggy. Admittedly, all trying to figure out for why bad things happen to good people. Mainly my daughter. It's really tough and it's really hard to understand as a parent. With a strong belief system and thinking what you believe and where you stand with all this stuff, and then your daughter's dying in front of you. It gets really hard. And the way I always describe it is I was faced with a decision because I started looking everywhere for the answer to the question, why do bad things happen to good people, and why is my baby daughter, why is she suffering? And I came to the realization, either I have to believe that God is good and he knows better than I do, or I need to walk away from it all. I settled on, I don't understand it now, but God is good and I'm going to trust him through this. That's where I am with it, man. God has been good and he's been able to use us, my wife and myself, and a lot of other people who come and help us as tools for his glory with cystic fibrosis, with kids from hard places, with all of this stuff. God's been able to use us. And the life that we live, I don't want anybody to think for a second that it's easy, because it's not. And, that belief system that God is good and that I don't understand right now, but I will, is what carries us through all this.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. What about you, Rod?
For myself, I'm Catholic. Wouldn't say I'm a good Catholic. I mean, I don't know who really is. I still do a lot of things I shouldn't, but I mean, I go to church every Sunday. I go in the weekdays in the mornings. I don't know. That's helped me a lot. I think. I always believe that everything happens for a reason. God has a plan. Like it's, at CF, there's a plan for that. I was diagnosed when I was 17 with MS. There's a plan for that. I saw my eye doctor a few months ago, and I guess maybe I have I don't know eye issues, but it sounds like maybe beginning stages of glaucoma, or it might be happening, and I
Are
don't
you
worry
on
about that.
Trikafta?
No, I got the
Okay.
transplant just before Trikafta.
Oh, yeah, because I was gonna say that's a weird thing that happened to a lot of people with Trikafta. They started getting glaucoma.
Mm.
It was a
I
weird
thought
symptom. Yeah.
I got it naturally. It's kind of funny. Well, I think it's kind of funny because I was in the doctor's office. He knows UT Southwestern in Dallas. I go there for all my needs because that's where I have my transplant. So I was on, in the eye doctor's office, and he said, okay. He knew I had CF. He said, tell me about the eyes and these eye drops, maybe for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. You have high pressure in your eyes. And like he's looking at Charlie, he goes, and you have MS too? I said, oh yeah. He goes, he didn't say anything, but he just was kind of silence. So, we had the appointment. And after I was making my next appointment, he's kind of at a distance just staring at me thinking, well, this guy is screwed up. CF, MS, glaucoma. And it's to me, it's fine. It's the reason for it. I guess too, with the reason I didn't worry about when I had 17% lung function and I might not have made it and I didn't care if I did or not. It's fine. There's a plan for it. So nothing bothers me. If something bad happens, I'm not a victim. There's a reason for it. So I don't know. I just that helps a lot. I don't let things get to me because it's it's meant to be, and I'm gonna be fine because I believe in him, and I believe he, as a lot of people say, you get only as much as you can handle.
Yeah.
So God thinks I can handle this, I can. So don't worry about it. And one day when it's gonna be over, maybe I have MS, maybe I won't be able to walk, maybe I'll go blind. I don't care. It's meant to be, and it's gonna be fine.
I think that's a really great statement because, my mom always tells me all the time, she says, if I could take this from you, I would take it in a heartbeat. And I always tell her, no, mom, God gave me this because he knew I could handle it. And I really think that, I really believe that because God gives these struggles to the people that can handle it. He knows what he's doing and he distributes everything accordingly.
I
Totally,
can't wait to hear my
100%.
daughter say that.
She will, I guarantee you. You got to get through that. You still got to get through that 16-year-old phase though. That's going to be the really fun one cuz it's
Oh
just a
no,
normal teen
that's
phase
the
on steroids because of the CF.
yeah. Dude, I've had enough
Yeah.
16-year-old girls. I know how horrible that is.
Yeah, it's horrible. I had my phase, man. I grew my hair all long and nobody gets me and nobody understands me. Imagine if I knew I had CF too. Man, it would have been a double whammy.
Is that why you have the mustache?
Yeah, now I'm in my dad stash phase, I'm trying to grow this thing out, man. I counteract my old sins I had, So I want
Well,
to end
that
off
mustache will
here.
do that.
Oh yeah, the mustache is making me more confident than ever. Everybody thinks I'm like a police officer now. I just want to end off here with saying, what would you say to someone feeling defeated by an illness right now?
I said, don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. I mean, and like we're talking about it, God gives you only what you can handle. You're gonna get over it. It's gonna be tough. So there's gonna be parts. So kind of funny. I found out is from what I've talked. It seems like everyone with CF reaches a point where you think it's over, forget it. I don't care. It's done. I reached that point twice, and I got over. It. I just realized, well, suck it up. What are you gonna? Life is not easy. You're not the only one who's having a hard time with whatever you're having a hard time with. Just suck it up. So I'm saying it's gonna get better. Rely on your faith. Rely on your family. Rely on your friends, and know that you're tough. Know you're here for a reason. You got these issues for a reason. You can handle it. Don't worry about it. Just day after time, lean on your faith, family, friends. It's gonna be fine. Just keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up. Just keep going.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Now, Josh, what do you have to say for somebody that might be struggling with the illness?
I would just say God is good all the time, man. And even though you don't see it, look for a way that you can be a blessing, and God will use you. And He'll turn what you think is a curse into a blessing.
Yeah, awesome. And lick your kids if you got if you want to find out if they have CF, lick your kids. It's the number one way to figure it out.
It's actually really funny. Just a quick story, real quick. When right after we gave her Trikafta, because we gave her Trikafta before it was approved for her age group and everything, in the middle of COVID, we're in the middle of a grocery store, and we had been giving it to her for 3 days, and I just felt impressed. You know what? I should just lick her. And we're in the middle of the grocery store in Washington State, and everybody's masked up, and I licked her, and I just was like, "Oh my god, honey, come over here, lick her, lick her, come over here." And my wife comes over and she licks her, and we just both start crying right there in the middle of the store
Wow.
because there was no salt. We
We
have,
gotta
it's
get you an
crazy.
ice cream cone, man. We gotta get you an ice cream cone.
It's crazy how many stories about licking I got.
Yeah, we got like 5 or 6 on this episode alone, man.
Yeah.
If you ever want to come back on and tell another one, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Well, guys, you've been awesome. Any closing thoughts or anything before we go here?
I just appreciate it, Zach.
Yeah, no, just thank you for your time and giving me the opportunity. Because if so, like Josh and I have said, so many people need vests, and we just need to get the word out. We need your vests, and we need help getting the vest out. I mean, your life was saved by a vest. We want to help save someone else's life with a vest, so we could totally use your help.
Well, yeah, of course,
Donate at
everybody. check it out.
cfbww.org and shadowchildren.org as well.
Yeah, check them out. Check them out, everybody. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Everybody, breathe easy.